Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another set of red comparison inks today. So this is the red inks comparison number 3 video. I think let's now go and swab up some of these inks. So the first ink is Diamine Syrah. Now let's do an ink swatch. And this is an ink that I actually got a couple of years ago. Actually, it may even be more than a couple of years ago. I think this was the ink that I got at the first London pen show I went to. And I think that was probably 2017. It was about a year after I started in getting back into the hobby. So we'll do a writing sample. So this is Diamine Syrah. And that is an ink that I just haven't used, haven't used a lot. I actually have quite a full bottle there. It's actually not a bad red ink, actually. The next bottle of ink is Franklin-Christoph Sweet Maroon. Now, it does come in this kind of like eyedropper-like bottle. Now I've actually decanted the bottle into another bottle because I find that this one is not easy to fill from and also does leak. So I've actually put it in this bottle instead, which to be honest isn't that much better, but at least it doesn't leak. So we're doing an ink swatch, and this I do find is quite a dry ink. There you go, there's a little bit more ink there onto the page, but it is a maroon coloured ink. So this is Franklin-Christoph Sweet Maroon. But that is actually a nice red ink, and it's an ink that I use a lot, and I actually use it more in my Sailor 1911 large, which has a Naginata Togi nib, which is a bit of an architect grind, and I just love how this ink writes in that. The next ink is an Organics Studio ink, and this is Edgar Allan Poe Raven Red. So we're doing an ink swatch. Now, I don't know why, but this is an ink that I really haven't used at all. And I think it might be because I bought a number of Organic Studio inks at the same time, and the one that I really used a lot was Organic Studio Nitrogen. And I then tried Walden Pond, and I didn't like Walden Pond so much. So I just haven't tried some of the other Organic Studio inks I have in my collection since, which is actually quite a shame. So this is Organics Studio, and it's Raven's Red. The next ink is Pilot Iroshizuku Momiji. And you can see here that there isn't a huge amount of ink left in that bottle. Probably about a third left. So we're doing an ink swatch. And this is one of my favourite red inks. It really is a nice ink, and it also is quite a sheener as well. So I will try and put a little bit more ink down. Now, the writing sample, it's Pilot Iroshizuku, and it's Momiji. But that is a really lovely red ink. And let me show you the threads on the bottle. You can see that gold sheen around the rim of the bottle there and the threads. It really is a beautiful sheening ink. The next ink is Rohrer and Klingner, and it's Alt Bordeaux, or Old Bordeaux. So we'll do another ink swatch here. Now, this is a very, very different red. It's more of a black Red. But it is an ink that I do still use a lot, and I like a lot actually. I tend not to go for inks that are more sort of different than the actual colour. So if an ink is red and it tends to be more black or black red, I tend not to like it as much. But this Alt Bordeaux actually matched really well with a number of my pens, and I just love how it writes. So this is Rohrer and Klingner, and it's Alt Bordeaux, but that is a lovely ink. The next ink is Syrah, Jentle, and it's Oku-Yama. So we'll do an ink swatch. And I do tend to find this a little bit more on the dry side. So I'm going to saturate that a little bit more. And this is Syrah, Jentle, and it's Oku-Yama. The next ink is TWSBI Red, and we'll do an ink swatch here. And this is a new ink that I have purchased recently, and I've not actually used it, shock horror, in a pen, but I think I'm going to have to, because it is actually quite a nice ink. So we'll do a writing sample here. So this is TWSBI Red. The next ink is DIamine Poppy Red. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And this is one of my favourite red inks, because it is a really nice, bright, punchy red ink. So this is DIamine Poppy Red. You can see there, that's quite a nice red ink. And then the last ink is Montegrappa Red. Now this also is a new ink that I've purchased, so I've not used this in a pen yet, but I think I will have to, although it does seem to be a little bit on the dry side. There you go, get a little bit more ink down there. So this is Montegrappa Red. So let's take a look at these ink colours one more time now that they have dried. So we have Diamine Syrah, which is actually quite a dark red, but it's actually a red that I'm liking. Now there isn't a lot of shading going on this, it's really sort of one shade. We then have Franklin-Christoph Sweet Maroon, which starts out as a light red but can actually go quite dark in terms of shading there. That you can see two very large bits of shading. We have Organic Studio Raven's Red, and this again is a very dark red that you will see there. And I want to say there's a little bit of sheen, but it's so small that it's hard to really see. That you might be able to see a little bit on camera, but it's hardly noticeable. And then we have the sheen monster, which is Pilot Iroshizuku Momiji. Now this is a real sheen monster. Look at that sheen there, that is crazy. So that's one reason why I do like this ink a lot. We then have Rohrer and Klingner Alt Bordeaux, and this is more of a black red, or maybe even a purpley red. probably not a black red. Probably a black red is more maybe Organic Studio Raven's Red or Sailor Jentle Oku-Yama. So the Rohrer and Klingner Alt Bordeaux, I do like this a lot. It is a really nice ink for me, although it's not really what I would call a red ink, or it's not what I recognise as being a red ink. And then in terms of shading, there is some shading going on there that you can see, but it's a little bit more muted, and likewise the same with Sailor Jentle Oku-Yama as well. Like, there is some shading going on there, and actually I don't know if you can see this on camera, but there is some gold sheen around the edges here, like in this bottom corner. There is some gold sheen going on, so maybe if I can try and get it on camera a little bit more. But that's an interesting one, but again, it's not a lot of sheen though. And then we have TWSBI Red, which is actually quite a bright pastel pinkish red, and this does have some shading that you can see here. And then we have DIamine Poppy Red, which is a very vibrant, punchy red, which again has some shading. So you can see the shading on both of these inks. It's quite a lot. And then we have Montegrappa Red, which has again a little bit more shading going on there that you can see, but it's more of a mid-tone red, I would say. So that's my ink comparison here for red inks, comparison number 3. If there are any red inks here that you like, please do let me know in the comments below, and likewise if there are any red inks that you haven't seen across these 3 videos, do let me know in the comments below and I will try and check them out when I can. So that's it, that's my red inks comparison number 3 video. Thanks for watching, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.